Christmas at this time of year? Why not? Don't laugh. It could happen to you at Memphis AMC Jeep Renault, your credit connection. If you've had trouble financing a new car, listen, bad credit, slow credit, no credit, the Credit Connection can help. Come to Memphis AMC Jeep Renault. Pick out the car you really want. The Credit Connection could help you. Remember, there's only one Credit Connection, and it's right here at Memphis AMC Jeep Renault, 3254 Elvis Presley. Give them a call. They can help. That Christmas number is 345-1115.
We must stop Godzilla before he destroys the city. Oh, what could he want? Unless we find something to appease him. We're doomed! Hold up, the ordinary. Hold up for Dr. Pepper.
Now, darling, you have fun with your little friends.
We're gonna have us a good time today. Truly bubbles gonna blow us away. Ooh, what delicious stuff to you. Now it's softer and a whole lot smoother. Blow it bigger, chew it longer. The flavor keeps coming on stronger. Like a rock-a-my vision. Truly bubbles are delicious.
Don't miss this. Over 1,000 items, all sale price for the do-it-yourselfer, like exterior latex house paint, just $4.94 a gallon. At Home Crafters Warehouse, where you always pay less, guaranteed.
Hey, what's the problem?
My car doesn't work either.
We'll take it for a test drive.
Really?
Vroom, vroom. Sounds like the transmission. Same problem as your dad's.
Can you fix it?
Sure, we're experts. We can fix any car. Foreign, too.
At AMCO, we care as much about people as we do transmissions. It's what we call AA service, and it's why we fix more transmissions than anyone else.
It's this.
You get AA service at AA MCO.
What'll it be, ladies?
7 up.
You must be from another planet.
What makes you say that?
Hasn't everyone on Earth heard that Sprite tastes better than 7-Up?
Right.
Yeah, it even won the taste test.
Test.
The one where more people preferred that great lime taste?
Right. This civilization is more advanced than we thought.
Off-road on the range, where the deer and the quad runners play. The fun is outrageous, the good time's contagious, when you're off-road quad running all day.
Suzuki has more ways to get you off-road on the range. 8 different quad runners, from the kid-size LT50 to the quad racer. Some with electric start, full suspension, even one with shaft drive.
Off-road on the range, riding Suzuki's all day. Suzuki.
Foremost in four-wheeling.
Burger King breaks it to McDonald's. Gently.
We're so sorry, we're so sorry. McDonald's, McDonald's. We're famous pizza stuffing out of baby muffin. 221, 221. In a nationwide test, our flaky sandwich with golden eggs and melted cheese, sausage, bacon, or ham. Pizza stuffing out of Egg McMuffins, the best taste. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Harry Sherman for BC Powder.
Forecast says rain.
When you're working the dirt
Got to get this field plowed before the ground turns to mud.
and you're feeling the hurt,
No time for a headache. That's why I always keep a BC powder in my pocket.
that's the time to take BC.
I've tried other headache powders, but nothing gets me back to work faster than BC.
When the pain keeps growing, but you gotta keep going.
I got to keep going.
That's the time to take BC.
When you gotta keep going. There are trucks you'd love to own and trucks you can afford. But when you're talking Chevy, they're one and the same. Starting at $73.97, Chevy C10, the best-selling full-size pickup in Memphis. And starting at $59.90, the Chevy S10, with more horsepower than Nissan, with the V6, twice the pulling power of the imports, and 1,000 pounds more than Ford Ranger. C10 and S10 at your Memphis area Chevy dealers. Isn't it great to love a truck you can afford?
Okay, Kroger, you say there's a difference. Then show me.
Wow, the
Floral Shop,
where the difference is the warm, personal touch added to your Mother's Day bouquet. Kroger is America's largest florist, you know. So trust our floral experts to help you arrange a one-of-a-kind bouquet that says, thanks, Mom. For Mother's Day, feel the difference. Go Krogering.
Give Mom beautiful, fresh-cut, long-stem roses. Only $15.99 a dozen.
Within 24 hours, the furniture that's on this truck can be in your home.
24 hours. That's all it takes to have a new living room, dinette, or bedroom in the latest styles from top manufacturers. Because now Remco has furniture that you rent to own. Just call us. You don't need credit, and you don't have to put up with factory delays. It's brand new furniture that you can rent for only a month, or own in only a year. It can be in your home in 24 hours if you call Remco right now.
Ford Thunderbird's NASCAR track record has never been more successful. The same can be said of your Memphis Metro Ford dealer's Thunderbird track record. In sales, Thunderbird is now the fastest growing car in its class, outselling Chevy Monte Carlo and Buick Regal in the Memphis area. Plus, your 5 Memphis Metro Ford dealers have got the best selection in the Mid-South. Some even come with factory savings of over $1,400. And that's before you get your Memphis Metro Ford dealer's best Thunderbird deal.
Be affordable fine. Be affordable fine.
Think service and save.
Check out the frown. My sign is down. I'm thinking service.
Save now on GE's AM/FM dual cassette recorder. Only $119.97.
Tuesday, it ticked when it should have talked. I'm thinking service.
The GE Spacemaker kitchen clock radio with timer is just $54.94, and the Spacemaker TV radio is now only $148.87. This spring, think service and save.
You're just in time, service.
Over 200,000 people just like you have taken advantage of Champion TV's easy rent-to-own plan. Maybe because Champion gave away over $50,000 cash last year, plus thousands of dollars in merchandise. Maybe it's because Champion treats our customers right. Maybe it's because Champion has top-quality products that you can rent-to-own hassle-free. This year, we'll be giving away even more money. Call Champion now and find out how you can be a part of winning the Champion way.
Champion makes it easy to own.
We made it big in the 50s.
In rock and roll.
The big things in life
have always been our goal.
So when we want big chicken cooked up just right,
only Church's Big Chicken
satisfies our appetite. Church's take the chicken,
so much big inside,
cuts it into beauty
than those other guys.
So dollar for dollar, we get so much more. We love Church's Big Chicken.
That's a yakety yak.
Their big juicy chicken, it always brings us back.
Churches, we give you more of a good thing with 3 years of corn for just 99 cents with any family or super family order.
At the end of the day, everybody's earned a real meal, so give them the work. 3 delicious combination platters, only at Taco Bell.
Bring home the work tonight. Everything tastes so right. Take a big beefy bite. Go for the work tonight. Crunchy or crispy light. Cheddar cheese golden fried. That's for the work tonight. Yeah, the work. Taco Bell got the work tonight. Yeah, the work.
Come on, give them the work
tonight.
The very best of Budget, Hertz, and Davis are yours at Liberty Chrysler Plymouth. Liberty Chrysler Plymouth, 2580 Mount Moriah, has made a special purchase of the best of the rental fleets so that we can pass along great savings to you, our valued customer. Save big on all makes and models of 84s and 85s at Liberty Chrysler Plymouth. Many of these fine cars are still under warranty and have less than 5,000 miles. This is Byron Day, inviting you to come see our fine selection and save today at Liberty Chrysler Plymouth, 2580 Mount Moriah.
Why do your neighbors in Memphis shop Furniture Center? Because they know we have the best styles, the best selection, and prices like these. Attention all parents, let the kids design their own rooms and mom and pop can save the money. Sturdy bunk beds and no more top matching hardwood pieces for real wearability. Pieces sale price from $67, and at Furniture Center, you pick the savings. In Memphis, Furniture Center gives you 6-way credit, free fast delivery, the biggest selection, and Furniture Center saves you money.
We are jamming, jam. Crank up the jam. Come on and crank it up. Oh, we are jamming to music, and the music makes me happy. You got to crank it up. It's K97. Yeah, the music makes you move when we are jamming. Yeah, we are jamming. Yeah, K97.
Hey,
Bill, let's go to self-service furniture. Store pays you for waiting on yourself. Boy, they guarantee the lowest prices in Memphis.
30 to 70% savings. Do you believe this? No salesman tugging on your elbow.
Queen size bathroom sofa sleeper cheap.
Eloise Queen Anne wingback velvet chairs, just $133.
Bill, dining room sets as low as $6.99.
Self-service furniture, 3929 Summer Avenue.
It's the store that pays you for waiting on yourself.
Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's having a fantastic week so far. What's today? Tuesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. God, it feels long. Shut up, Cherry. Don't do it. Fuck, as soon as I said that, I knew it. Yeah, so this week, just for those of you, I don't know who's interested and who's not. I've been covering the Letitia Stock trial, who is on trial for murdering her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon. I have been waiting 3 years for this trial. I've been waiting 3 years to see justice done in that case. So if you are interested in things like that, make sure to log on tomorrow. I'll be live again 11 a.m. Eastern time. So yeah, and I will be covering that for the next 7 weeks, I believe. So yeah. But I'm really grateful that you guys are here. Now I did not put a clever little hit the like pinned comment in this one because I don't know what's going on. There's some sort of glitch where I am getting way more likes than I'm actually getting. Cherry believes that someone is purchasing those likes, and I want to be abundantly clear. That doesn't help me. It doesn't hurt me. But it definitely doesn't help me. If you're doing that to be nice, if you're doing that to be, I mean, there's better things to spend your money on. there's links if you're so inspired to do something nice and spend money in the process. There's links in the description where you can do that. But yeah, it doesn't help me. I don't think that that's the case. I think there's just a glitch. But in case that's the case, in case someone is purchasing these likes, I don't know what your point is for doing that. But I personally, I like my likes coming for genuine reasons. If you like the stream, hit the like. If you don't like the stream, hit the dislike. If you don't give a fuck, don't hit anything. I don't care. But not under false circumstances. I really don't. I'm not enjoying that at all. But like I said, it's not really bothering me. It's just one of those things that I'm noticing, and I'm like, okay, well, there's absolutely no way that's even a thing. That's even genuine. So, but yeah, if you like the stream, hit the like. But I promise you, it is not for a a lacking of likes right now that I am requesting that you do that. I would just prefer to have genuine likes. You know, I apparently you can, Fern Willis. I don't know. I've been doing this 4 years and I still barely know how to YouTube, so beats the hell out of me. I really don't know. So I streamed for over 8 hours today, streaming that trial. Whenever I do stream a trial, I usually stream for that long, and it's pretty exhausting, to say the least. But of course, Betty decided to go and do the same old thing that she's been doing. Again, we haven't been seeing the bullhorn lately. It's been kind of interesting. Hold on. Pam Washington, thank you. You gifted 5 memberships. I appreciate that. Let's see who was gifted membership. Chrissy F. Headstones and Headlines. Layla Lay. Hope SC. And Chugiak. Okay. Right on. Welcome. Congrats for those of you who have been gifted memberships. Thank you so much. That's another cool thing to do. Don't buy likes. Gift memberships. It's way better. It's way better. Do that instead. It benefits me a lot more. So, Betty decided to go to Glynn County, Georgia, over a case that I was made aware of, and I took a slight interest in it, an interest enough to follow, but not necessarily cover. I still don't plan on covering this case. I'll explain as to why once I go over a little bit of it so that you guys are a little familiar. Just to give us some sort of a firm foundation as to why we're covering Betty besides the usual, to get a better understanding of why Betty thinks that she's out there. So I promise you, she has no idea what she's doing as usual. So the case is about this young man named Trenton Learcamp. I think that's how you say his name. He is 19 years old. And according to this, he was with a group of teens when he was reportedly forced to drink an excessive amount of alcohol and other substances. A photo of him on social media shows what appears to be him unconscious, covered in spray paint. During the investigation, police say several false rumors have circulated online. And the Glynn County Police Department released this statement. And I'm going to go ahead and read that. And this was released on April 3rd. It is now the 10th or 11th. I'm not even sure. And it says here, statement from Interim Chief O'Neill Jackson III. In the past days, our community has been challenged with a desire for swift justice and accountability while balancing the need for a thorough and complete investigation. There is no question the video and pictures linked to the Learcamp investigation are very disturbing. I can assure you that we are making every effort to conclude this matter consistent with our obligation to protect the rights of the victim and ensure that any investigation is as thorough and complete as possible. It is equally important we all work together to help dispel the misinformation being disseminated, much of which could perceivably threaten the lives and reputations of many innocent people. I'm going to talk about that. Misinformation also delays and hampers the investigation, as it needlessly requires the diversion of resources. Now, this is coming from the police chief there, okay? Just as we have asked the public to help by providing information, you can also help by refusing to pass on information without verifying the facts. For instance, there is no evidence that anyone defecated on the victim during any of the events we are investigating. There is no evidence Mr. Lehrkamp ingested any battery acid during the reported incident. Further, based upon the information we have gathered to date, none of the children or relatives involved in the incidents being investigated are related to anyone who works for the Glynn County Police Department. Finally, as has been stated by the family of Mr. Lehrkamp, has not been diagnosed as autistic and does not have any learning disabilities. Investigators have been in contact with Mr. Lehrkamp's family since this was first reported and have made efforts to keep a clear line of communication open to Mr. Lehrkamp and his family. As we, the Glynn County Police Department, continue to investigate this matter, along with assisting law enforcement agencies, we graciously request your patience as we vigorously investigate every relevant incident associated with these events. We continue to encourage anyone with information, video, photographs, or other potential evidence to contact the Glynn County Police Department via silent witness at 912-264-1333. 912-264-1333. And then, or you can email at 911 silent witness at Glynn County, Georgia, glyncounty-georgia.gov. All right. Now, that seemed to be a pretty clear and concise method of relaying a message to the public. This seemed to be very, you would think it's very effective. To those of us with common sense, it is very effective. To those of us with common sense, most of us, okay, we already know the stuff that he's saying not to do. We already know not to do that. At least in this community, we know not to do that. I did not cover this case because I know the potential of it being a complete and utter shit show, but mostly because it's not a murder investigation. It's not a murder case. This is an adult who this happened to, and it was, more importantly, this was executed by juveniles. Okay, so the suspects, the people involved who hurt this man, this young man, are mostly, if not all, juveniles. So it's very, 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 it's a very touchy situation. And honestly, of all the situations that I can think of that are open investigations right now, where we're waiting for justice to start to take place, this is the one that I would want Betty to stay the fuck away from the most. If I'm being completely and totally honest. This is, yeah. And for those of you who are wondering how he's doing now, he was in a coma, but Trent Lehrkamp is now awake. He's alert. He's able to talk to police. He's able to talk to his family. So he's going to pull through and he's going to be okay. So there's that too. You know what I mean? At this point, all I can view this as is some dude who is a little bit older than the people that he went to go hang out with, and things went wrong, and he was abused, to say the least. He was bullied, and he was bullied to the point to where he ended up unconscious. And as I understand it, he was driven to the hospital and and dropped off. So, right, Stacy, of course, this is a very traumatizing situation for anybody. So I'm sure he's going to need therapy after this. But what Betty's doing, if we're talking about the man's mental health, this isn't going to help his mental health. Interfering with the investigation directly by protesting in front of the Glynn County Police Department is not going to do anybody any good. They are working hard. I have no reason to believe only 7 days after this statement was released that they're just sitting on their hands and not doing anything to get justice for this kid. They're not investigating. We're talking about a party where there are multiple suspects. They have to discern who was innocent at this party and who was not. This takes time. And so right now they're asking kids for their cell phones and whatever data they might have. They're asking people to call in with tips, turn in the cell phone footage to the website, whatever you've got. They're trying to collect evidence. So even if they have the suspects that they are planning to charge right now in mind, they have to build a case before they can charge them. This is how it always works. This is exactly how it worked in Savannah, Georgia, in Chatham County, when Betty's dumbass decided to go in front of the Simon home and start yelling through a bullhorn and getting all of the neighbors riled up and accusing the chief of police, Chief Hadley, of not doing his job while he was absolutely conducting a very thorough and organized and heartfelt investigation into justice for Quentin. And this was something that was very, very, very upsetting to watch. Now, it's easy to find the humor when we're looking at Betty, but overall, again, I wouldn't even be talking about Betty if she didn't do things like this. This is how she gets me to stop talking to her or stop talking about her and reviewing her content. 2 ways. 1, stop doing this shit. That's one way. The other way, subject yourself to a very respectful interview on this channel where I will ask you questions and you do not rage quit. You do not cry, moan, yell, insult, interrupt. You simply answer questions that are asked and do it honestly. That is the only way. Besides knocking this shit off. So, and she was talking about going out here to this place and doing this. It's not far. It's not a far drive from where she lives. I don't know where she lives exactly, except in northern Florida somewhere. And it's not a far drive. So sure enough, she does this, and
we're outside of the Glynn County Police Department here in Glynn County, Brunswick, Georgia. This is where we know that the initial report was taken from the substation on St. Simon's Island, but we're here at the headquarters this morning, and we're here just to make a presence, just to be seen. I'm not
idiot. Yeah, clearly just to be seen. But again, I want you guys to really understand the nature of this case and why it's so sensitive. This kid, first of all, already has his whole community behind him. This is nothing but a camera op for her. So she thinks. But I don't think that she's going to be welcomed with open arms by this community. I think some people will be kind to her and be like, sure, the more the merrier. But I think that mostly people are going to look at her as exactly what she is, an opportunist. This is a community issue. I want to be very clear about that. This is I have to be careful how I word this, but because I realize that some people may not agree with me. But this is absolutely, in my opinion, a community issue where things should be governed within the community, and it's fine. The reason why I say that is because already the community is rallying behind Trent, wanting justice. We don't even know what his position on this whole thing is, but he's been in a coma this whole time. But we have to understand that these are children that are suspected of this crime. Okay, they have parents. And yes, even for those of you who are sitting there going, well, where were the parents when they did this? Sorry, but if you're the parent of a teenager and you're not letting your kids spread their wings a little bit and go to parties, something's wrong. You know what I mean? It's very natural for parents to let their kids go to these parties, and it's very natural for there to be a peer pressure situation and something to get out of hand. I wouldn't say it's natural, but it's very common. So did she really dox all the minors already? Because this is a very sensitive situation, because a lot of the people that were at this party are minors and innocent. They're innocent minors. I mean, think about that for a second. This could be one of your kids who just happened to be at a party, and then this asshole decides to go live on her channel and start accusing them of committing a crime and partaking into a mass crime. I mean, it's crazy to me that people support this moron.
I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything. It's, kind of quiet and peaceful out here, but we just want to let people know.
Yeah, I don't know if she doxed them or not. That's just somebody saying that in my chat. I don't know. I don't have any proof of that. I'm just saying, if she does do that, it's fucked up. It's not okay at all.
People know that we are here and we are fighting for Trent Lehrkamp. We are here. We are I've got my vest on, so any officer that walks in or out of this office building will see that Bullhorn Betty is here, and they'll know exactly why I am here. I am here to advocate for Trent, for the apprehension of the assailants that committed the assault on Trent Lehrkamp. Again, March 21st, what all took place is March 21st in the afternoon, Trent went to go.
She's talking about these kids like they're criminals. Now, are these kids who participated in this, like, do Trent's parents get to go, hey, your kid's a fucking asshole? Have they earned the right to do that and call these kids assholes? Yeah. I'm not 100% sure if I have the right to call these kids assholes because I don't know them. You know what I mean? I don't fucking know them. Because at the end of the day, they are kids. You know what I mean? Now, did they do an asshole thing? Sure. But what about the ones who were just succumbing to peer pressure, and then they're going to learn from this mistake and then actually move forward with their lives and feel so guilty about it, and it's a cringe moment for them for the rest of their lives that they try to do everything they can for the weaker one, try to really do their part in that whole blessed are the meek and try to be shepherds moving forward. It's not too late for them to do that. And it's wrong to treat them as if it is, as if they've already grown into the people that they're going to be. So let's condemn them for pieces of shit. I don't think that that's fair to do to anybody at this age. That's the reason why our laws reflect and have been able to differentiate age differences that differentiate a minor from an adult. Sorry, had a brain fart there and I kind of get through it. But we have laws You know, the age of 18, you're considered an adult. These kids were under 18. There are so many 18-year-olds that I've met that I still consider kids, just because the law, this is in the eyes of the law, they are adults, but you know, sometimes you could just see somebody at 18 and be like, that's still just that's a baby. You know, they don't fucking know any better. You know, or they lack the right guidance. We don't know any of these kids' individual situations. We don't know anything about them. I mean, yeah, there's 21, 22, 23-year-olds, man, that I'm just like, man, that's a child.
To go visit his friends, the people that he perceives as friends, which we're learning were never really his friends. But this was not the first situation that he went. So, but on March 21st, in the evening hours, his three friends show up to the hospital, to Southeast Georgia Medical Systems. It's a hospital. There's multiple locations in and around the state of Georgia. This was one that was there on St. Simon's Island. And they took him there. Three boys in a white Jeep took him to that hospital, told law enforcement that told hospital personnel that they thought their friend was dying and wanted to know if they were free to leave. The law enforcement, the medical professionals, personnel there ended up getting their name.
Now, we got to take this with a grain of salt. Everything that she's saying, because it's Betty, okay? Simply because it's her, we have to take everything that she's saying with a grain of salt. I cannot dispute everything that she's saying because I have not taken a deep dive into this case. I only know certain things, basically the meat and potatoes, and that's it. That's all I know. I don't know if these kids actually dropped him off at the hospital and then asked to leave if they were free to go. I don't know if any of that's true. But coming from Betty, again, we have to take it with a grain of salt because this is the one person on YouTube that I can honestly say is consistently wrong.
Names and their telephone numbers in case they had any additional questions. They did tell the medical personnel there that he drank a lot of vodka and took antidepressants. So I don't know what I'm glad that they told them what he was on, because when you have a situation like this, hiding is just making it more difficult for law enforcement or medical professionals to help their friend. So I'm glad that they did tell them. Hi, Courtney. Thank you for becoming the newest member. I'm glad they did tell what their friend was on, because that truly did assist in helping the medical team.
Again, I don't know if any of that's verified.
Render the proper aid to Trenton, which probably helped save his life. But the problem is we've been wanting to know why law enforcement. I'm at the headquarters.
I gotta point this out because so I'm getting comments about the title of this, and I called her RancidBeef Betty because Toast was live last night and she went over one of Betty's lives, and Betty was trying to tell everybody about dieting and food and how to cook, and it was just ridiculous. And so, but she showed a steak that now I eat steak as often as I possibly can. I love steak, right? But what she did to the steak was abuse. It was that of a sloppy serial killer is what it was. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Like if I was a cop, like I imagine like a chef or a cook seeing that, right? And doing exactly what a cop would do if they saw a gruesome scene of a murder, and just, you know, just oh God, what in the fuck is that? What is that? That is fucking disgusting. You are going to eat that, or worse, serve it to people. Oh my God, that is what would fucking happen. It was that gross. Like, it was like gray, dude. It was gray. And she was like, I left it out all day long. And oh my God, yeah. I can't believe, I mean, dude, she eats that thing like rare, bro. Like, first of all, how are you gonna eat a rare steak and it's still gray and brown on the inside? You know what I mean? Like, how how are you gonna eat a piece of steak and you don't see red? Like, I love that red. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it charred as fuck on the outside. Like charred, right? Where you could smell it a block down. I like it charred. And then on the inside, just red, just whoosh. You know what I mean? Just, it's just beautiful. I love that shit. Like, I took that, what she did to that steak, as an insult, because I mean, how much I love a good steak, you know? She murdered something that was already dead, and I don't even know how you do that. She, like, fucking serial killer style murdered something that was already fucking dead.
Headquarters right behind me. We're not on St. Simon's Island. We're at the headquarters off Carl something. It's Carl H. Alexander Public Safety Complex, which has this houses their police department, their E911 communications, and their emergency operations center is housed right here. And that's where I'm at. I figured the headquarters got to have the chiefs and the assistant chiefs at it. And I don't know of any substations that actually have a whole wealth of detectives that are going to be manning a case of like this. What we're finding.
Hold on. I got to hear that shit one more time.
And their emergency operations center is housed right here. And that's where I'm at. I figured the headquarters got to have the chiefs and the assistant chiefs at it. And I don't know of any substations that actually have a whole wealth of detectives that are going to be manning a case of like this.
Bro, why do you assume that they're going to work right out of that station? Like, why do you assume that there aren't multiple police departments that are working together and pooling their resources? I mean, if it's a Glynn County case, they're going to have more than one station, dude. I promise you that. Like, in Betty's vast experience, she doesn't think that there's going to be a whole wealth of detectives that are working this case. How many detectives do you think that it needs, Betty? I mean, because I could tell you this. I don't have any fucking idea how many detectives it would take to work a case like that. You know why I don't know that? Because I'm not a fucking detective. Because I'm not a law enforcement officer in any capacity whatsoever. I don't have any experience in that at all. Neither do you. So how in the fuck do you know? How do you know? I mean, what exactly is the wealth of detectives that it takes to work that case? Please enlighten us.
What we're finding out is that they've been dragging their butt on an arrest. We've heard since last Thursday they've been working with the state attorney, the prosecutor's office, but has warned the public that they are still not ready for arrest. These almost 3 weeks after this incident took place.
Okay, that's another thing right there, Betty. See, you also, because you're not a law enforcement officer, and because even though you say otherwise, you don't have any experience in law at all. You're full of shit. We all know it. It's already been investigated and exposed. You don't have any experience in law. Everyone knows this. You're a fraud. But having said that, that just goes to show that you have absolutely no idea. Even, especially, let's just forget. Let's say you do have a law degree. Let's just say, this is what I find so fascinating about Betty. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, hypothetically speaking, she has a law degree, right? She has a law practice even, right? And she goes on her YouTube channel calling herself Bullhorn Betty Esquire, like myself here. She goes on and she's a full-on lawyer, and she's got a YouTube channel, and she's doing it like Scott Reich and Reich, or whatever, however you say his last name, and Mystery Maven Esquire. Let's just say that's the case. Just her being on YouTube alone, all of the coverage, so-called, that she's done of cases, she has proven time and time again that she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about when it comes to the law. She has no idea how long an investigation takes. She has no concept of the fact that it takes time to build a case and gather evidence in order to ensure a conviction in a court of law. That is what it takes. It takes time to build a case. Okay? This is exactly what happened in the Quentin Simon investigation. She was out there yelling and screaming through a bullhorn, saying Chief Hadley wasn't doing his job. And then the next thing you know, what happens? Chief Hadley sends out a team in hazmat suits of professional, experienced investigators assigned with a task to organize a search, a very meticulous search through 2 million pounds of garbage in a landfill. 2 million pounds of garbage. Try and visualize that. And when you see the still photographs of those investigators working to find Quentin Simon, when you see the still photographs of that, you even see the drone footage, it's very organized. You can tell that they're taking little piles and sifting through little piles through every single little bit of it, looking for any sign of Quentin Simon, a piece of his clothing to his corpse itself. And they managed to find his corpse. And that's what those investigators had to do. While this person that you're looking at on the screen next to me was out there yelling and screaming in public that these people were not doing anything to find Quentin Simon. While she was doing that, these people were in hazmat suits doing the worst job that I can ever imagine doing. And that is digging through garbage until they find the corpse of a toddler. I can't imagine doing anything. I would clean 1,000 toilets. I would clean 10,000 toilets before having to do that. Now, I mean, I would do it if I was qualified to do it and it needed to be done, yes. But I can't imagine ever wanting to do it. And here she is, again, in front of a police station, accusing them of not doing their jobs. When she clearly, based on her content, we can safely ascertain that she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about when she says that these cops aren't working hard enough to get justice for this victim. We've seen it. She has been consistently wrong about it. And here she is doing it again.
Place, still no arrests in this case. And when we start hearing stuff like that, we are curious as to why it feels, at this point, it's just a feeling. It's not anything concrete or confirmed or any evidence, but it kind of always feels like there's something underlying about this case as to why law enforcement would drag their butt, because law enforcement, for all intents and purposes, doesn't drag their butt. They typically, if they see a crime, they investigate it, they arrest the people, they let.
Typically, right? But for some reason, none of the cases that you cover, because the police are never working hard enough or fast enough for you. But here you are saying this case is different. What's going on? So right now, you're just talking out of your ass in order to spin a narrative that the police have kids or no kids at that party, and that's why they're dragging their asses and not making arrests. That is the implication that you're getting at right now. I can smell it.
They let the courts decide, deal with it after that, as they're building the case after the arrest. Here, for some reason, it seems like they're doing things opposite of one another. They're actually wanting to build the entire case and have the entire case completely wrapped up prior to them ever even going or making an arrest here. And I've never heard of anything so absurd. And talk about.
Y'all heard that, right? I need a second.
After the arrest. Here, for some reason, it seems like they're doing things opposite of one another. They're actually wanting to build the entire case and have the entire case completely wrapped up prior to them ever even going or making an arrest here. And I've never heard of anything so absurd. And talk about, the victims. At the end of the day,
you've never heard of anything so absurd as to building a case to ensure a conviction prior to making an arrest. But you went to law school, right? You've worked for lawyers, right? I promise you that any law enforcement agent, homicide or otherwise, any detective, their job is not to make arrests, but to get convictions. Make arrests that lead to convictions. Period. That's their job. Not to just make arrests. I know you did it. Hands behind your back. Prove it. I don't have to. We'll work that out later. That's not how it happens. And you're saying that this happens every other case. This one is weird that they're doing that. That they're following basic, common, and inexcusable procedure. They can't be excused from this process. This is how it gets done. You have to understand that, Betty. This is how that gets done. This simply gets done that way, by collecting enough evidence to ensure a conviction and then making an arrest. Literally, Davis fam, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing your logic to this madness. You're welcome. Thank you.
Of the day, this is supposed to be serving the victims of crime. When we pick up the phone and call 911, we want somebody on the other end of that phone. We want somebody to pick it up and render aid to us, whatever that aid may be, whether it's bringing in ambulances, fire trucks, or law enforcement officers. And we expect them to do their job when they receive a call. We expect them to make an arrest. We don't expect to be assaulted, them know exactly who assaulted us, and them being the criminal being able to sit out in their own bed and do their own thing and still continue to drink and party and have a good time, while me, the victim, is in pain and agony and trying to recover from a crime that was committed upon me. Right. And that's kind of the way that they're doing their law enforcement around here in Georgia. I don't know when this changed. Many of you guys know I have roots in Georgia. My family comes from Georgia. I still have family that lives here in Georgia, a good portion of my family that still resides in the state of Georgia. And so I'm just sitting here scratching my head and saying, you know, this wasn't the Georgia that I grew up in. You know, we came up here quite a bit as young kids to be with our family. And we stayed here weeks and months on time. And I don't remember. I remember when people got in trouble, they went to jail. They didn't get this, well, we'll give you, why don't you get your affairs in order and we'll get around to arresting you sooner or later, right? We're not in that.
That's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. What's going on here is that they're building a case. They're collecting evidence. They're investigating, okay? You're talking about a party. You're talking about a party where there was multiple kids. I've seen the pictures of this party. There is a shit ton of kids there. Some of them just standing around with drinks in their hands that have nothing to do with anything that's going on. Okay? I mean,
And that kind of nonsense. This is 2023. When you commit a crime, you should have to go to jail. And when there's evidence of a crime, like in Leilani, what did that office after?
All right. Now, this also goes into her not understanding the fact that these are juveniles, because they might not get it. Even if these were adults, some of them may not even get any jail time if they're convicted. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't die. You know, they assaulted him, right? I mean, if it's a first offense, depending on the severity of what they did and their involvement, they might just get probation. I'm talking about adults. You know what I mean? The fact that these are kids, probably with clean records, probably some of them really good students, promising futures, judges take that shit into consideration. Judges take that into consideration. When our system is designed to improve our society, to protect our way of life and improve our society, a judge might simply decide that there's a kid with too promising of a future, and he'll punish him accordingly, but not rob him of his future and what he's capable of bringing to the world and sharing and contributing to society. A judge just may simply not want to fuck that up for somebody, you know? And this is something that has to be taken into consideration when it comes to this case. This is something that it's dangerous to forget. You got to understand that these are kids, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be held accountable. And I'm not saying that being a kid excuses their behavior. I'm saying it is irresponsible to not consider it a factor in this situation and to not factor it into your opinion forming about the situation. That's all I'm saying. But here she is saying, hey, do a crime, you need to go to jail. What kind of society would we live in if we all thought that way? If our justice system thought that way? Grandmaster Sid Sophos, thank you so much. The Glare, El Hombre de Oro. The Golden Man. Yeah, what would our justice system be like? That's a scary, scary thought to me. It should scare the fuck out of you too, especially those of you with kids. It should scare the hell out of you. Where all you got to do is just be like, you did something, you go to jail. I mean, where's the line? Traffic tickets? You know what I mean? You went 60 miles per hour. Last time somebody went 60 miles per hour on this road and didn't go to jail, they hit somebody. And then you get locked up based on that just because you were speeding. What? Think about that for a second. I mean, our system is designed to protect everyone, including the rights of those who make mistakes, and including the rights of children. It just is. I happen to love the idea that the system is based on. Is it a flawed system? Absolutely, sure, without a doubt. But the ideals that it's based on are intact. And so I believe in those ideals. And therefore, I believe in the qualified people charged with the responsibility of getting justice for this young man in order to do so.
All of that protesting, all of that extra money that they spent, the failure to even protect us as protesters out there, which they were required to do, and they just wanted us to be assaulted, beat up, and everything else, which, you know, I'll just record it and have them put in jail. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about it. I'll do whatever I want to do as long as I can do it in accordance with the law, which I am and have done. So we're definitely, I'm definitely at odds.
She hasn't. See, she's broken the law many times. The issue is that law enforcement, for some reason, chose not to move forward and arrest her and then go for a conviction. It just hasn't happened yet. And I doubt that it will, at least for not for a long time. But I'm here for it when it does. I'm definitely fucking here for it when it does. Make no mistake about that.
Odds and all this new law in Georgia and how criminals can walk free for weeks and months after committing heinous crimes. And then when it does come down to it, we find out that there is a political tie to these people and their politicians. Or in this case, we find out that every kid that's involved, with the exception of one or two kids, are part of an elite group of parents that have a lot of money, a lot of
word. An elite group of kids. Word.
Land, a lot of property, great businesses, very well-to-do people. And I keep thinking that this is playing into why they're dragging their butt for Trent Learcamp. These parents own landings that stretch for miles as the eye can see. They own businesses. One business has been here since the 1930s. We're talking about generational people, generational wealth, generational privilege, generational. These are the people that are their kids, their children.
You don't know any of that. Like, you don't know any of this stuff. You're just spitballing. You're just taking shit that you heard from other people and you're just spitballing. You don't know any of this shit. Like, this goes into exactly what law enforcement just asked you not to do. And your excuse for not doing what law enforcement asks you to do is to say that they're part of this elite group in cahoots with the kids' parents. Literally, Davis fam, thank you so much. She acts like we don't remember her beating her mom as a juvenile. Right. I mean, like, that's the irony. Because I think she's dead wrong. You know, like, full disclosure, I think she's dead wrong, of course. But the only thing that would prove her right, ironically, is her own childhood. The fact that she beat up her mom as a juvenile and got charged for it now grew up to be this. The irony is that she's the only thing proving her theory about these kids right. No, she's got no evidence other than herself to prove her point. which is insane. It's fucking gold is what it is.
Are the ones that are responsible for this crime. And so I can already hear the back doors of this county spinning like a 7-Eleven store, right? I can hear it spinning. I can already hear the phone calls of these parents calling their political partners. I can see them already reaching out to lawyers and getting lawyers involved and trying to threaten law enforcement. I can already see that. I can already
see these are a lot of insane accusations to be making right now. She has nothing to say this. Like, this is just her imagination going wild right now. She's even saying so. She's saying, I could just see this and I could just see that. And it's like, what are you doing? You have no idea who these people are. You know nothing about these people at all. And here you are accusing that police department of having back doors that are going to get these kids to skate on this crime.
I already see that going on behind the scenes in my brain because I've seen it before. Now, this is just based upon my experience and have no relevant facts that that's the case. But typically when a child is tortured, somebody goes to jail. That's kind of what law enforcement is here for. So why are we here 3 weeks later with no arrest, them failing to name one person of interest in this case, them constantly telling us we're just trying.
Okay. They're not going to name a person of interest in this case. I'm telling you that right now. They're not going to name a person of interest in this case. That would be a shit show. Because if that person of interest turns out to be a minor, and that minor is innocent until proven guilty, and they go and release this minor's information to the public, we have a problem. Now, once he's arrested, that's different. Once that person is arrested, that's a different story. Okay? But they're not going to release the name of a person of interest if that person of interest is a minor. It's just not going to happen. The fact that you even want that to happen tells me everything about you, Betty. Everything. The fact that you claim to be an advocate for children and you don't know what the circumstances were at that party, what happened, who influenced who, you don't know anything about the details of that crime. Nothing to come to any conclusion on one individual person, much less a bunch of them. There's no way you can do that. Can't be done logically. It just can't.
Trying to make sure that we have all of our stuff covered. We have all our T's crossed and all of our I's dotted, right? That's what we keep hearing. We keep hearing this word salad that's coming out of the mouths of the people that are supposed to protect the residents of this community. But this boy needed to be protected. This boy still needs to be protected. And the people that caused this crime need to still be arrested. So when is that going to happen? Well, we're finding out it's definitely not happening this week. It definitely didn't happen last week. It definitely didn't happen when this crime was committed. And now we're going to be sitting here crossing our fingers and praying that law enforcement, right behind me, decides to get off their duff and go arrest the people responsible that left this man almost dead.
It's so fucking weird because here's the thing is I can't imagine Betty with another hairdo. Okay? I'm just going to lay it out there to be honest. I can't imagine Betty with another hairdo. That hairdo is Betty. If she changed it, it would be weird. It would be fucked up. Like all of a sudden, if she had this nice full head of hair, it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't work. Okay? The same thing goes for her using words like terms like sitting on your duff. Okay? Like, as a half white, half Dominican person, I can tell you that is the whitest fucking thing I've ever heard anyone say in my life. Because I've heard people say it before, but they're always the whitest of white people that you'll ever meet, ever. And they're like, you're just going to sit there on your duff? Nobody says sitting on your duff. Nobody does that. Nobody beyond the 19th century says sitting on your duff, except for like the whitest white person ever that I still suspect whether or not they came through a fucking wardrobe corridor from another time. I just don't. Yeah. Sitting on your duff. It's just, yeah. I don't imagine. I don't imagine anyone else with Betty's hairdo, and I don't imagine anyone else saying sitting on your duff.
We are lucky. We are lucky that they are alive. He is alive, rather. And we are lucky that this community is a nice community and people are rising up and protesting in this community peacefully.
They don't need you.
We also have another case here that leaves a stain on this community. And that's Aubrey. Is it Aubrey or Audrey? Aubrey. Where he was killed. It was a hate crime. And the city police didn't want to make an arrest because they were white guys. That's a shame. In 2023, this didn't happen in 2023. This just happened a few short years ago. But we're well past that era of our country, or at least we should be.
Didn't she say there was a case going on right now?
And so they had to force law enforcement to actually get off their duff and arrest those men that killed their family member. By the way, the family member was black. The assailants were white. The details of that case were atrocious.
She's like, yeah, I just so you know, guys, this is for the haters who think and keep calling me racist. I just want you to know that I'm aware of another case that happened here. And the guy, what was his name again? Aubrey, well, whatever. He was black. And yeah, you know, the guys who did it, they were white. So that's my I'm not racist little fact of the day.
And they knew who had done it and didn't do anything about it. Kind of sounds familiar as to what we're dealing with right now, doesn't it?
No, not even close.
After being forced to take the case.
No, because nobody but you is accusing law enforcement of not doing their job. You're the only one. Okay? The community came together. They didn't protest. That's not what they were doing. They did not protest. What they did was rally. There's a difference. They rallied to let law enforcement respectfully and Trent and his family know that the community is behind him and would like justice. That's all it came to. They weren't demanding justice. They were out there kindly, basically rallying and saying, we're aware of what happened and we want something done. There was no, they're taking too long. Why is there no arrest? It's none of that. We are just in support of Trent. That's all it was.
Not only were those guys convicted of their crimes, they were also convicted of it being a hate crime. Why does it take this to get this police department to make arrests? That's what I want to know. This is round two, you see. because they already had round one back when Aubrey's case was going on.
You're the only one, bro.
70.
I don't see anybody else out there, dude. You're the only one that I see out there like an asshole. You're the only one that I see out there doing what you're doing. Nobody else is saying that law enforcement is not doing their job. You're the only one saying that law enforcement's not doing their job. You're literally the only one. And you're trying to create a round two thing. And this is what's really funny is I'd be worried about what she's doing. Okay? I'd be worried about what she's doing, but I'm not, because I don't believe that this community is susceptible to her bullshit. I don't think that they are. I don't think that they're capable of falling for. I think everybody involved has common sense, and they're like, takes a while, build a case. There's a lot of people involved, there's minors involved. A lot of them have teenagers themselves. They're just rallying because they're worried that the same thing could happen to their teenager. But it also sets a good parenting example that don't let me find out that you're one of these fucking kids that did shit like this. Don't ever let me fucking catch you doing some shit like that. It's a very positive way for a parent to send that message. Is just to rally, get together with the community. It shows a very positive, it shows camaraderie, it shows the sense of community at work. It's a beautiful thing. She's an outsider. I believe this to be a private community matter. I think that it's perfectly fine. Now, I think that, of course, if something happens to where there is no arrest made or whatever the fuck, right? If something is clearly shady, then yes, I'd be like, well, I think, somebody federal needs to step in and take a look. I've said that about other cases. Absolutely. But we're not there yet here. 3 weeks is not a long time to conduct an investigation on multiple kids and gather enough evidence that they need to make arrests.
72 days it took for Aubrey's case for an arrest in that and they knew who did it. They knew who did it. They had evidence of it. They even had a recording, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they?
Apples and
they
oranges.
Even had a recording
bro.
of that. Yeah, they even had everything seems a little similar to this case right here. And it still took 70 something days to make an arrest, and they didn't really want to make it. And now we got these young kids that have bright futures that had made a terrible decision. There's children all over this country that had bright futures that made a terrible decision. And guess where they're at? They're in jail serving their sentence. Like,
how do you know that? What are you talking about? How are you sitting there going, that? Guess where they are? Guess where who is? Give me some examples. Because the sentencing varies. You know what I mean? The sentencing varies on the crime. It varies on the involvement. It varies. You don't know what these judges gave kids in situations like this. I guarantee you she hasn't researched one case that's similar to the case that she's talking about right now. I guarantee you she's never researched it to find out what kind of sentence has been passed down in similar cases. The only thing she did was look into the police department, looking for reasons to trash them. Well, it's a place for me to protest in front of, so let me find some shit on them that I can bitch about when I'm in front of their place. That's all it was. And now she's like, oh, well, there was a case and it was a hate crime. Dude, apples and oranges. Like completely different circumstances. This was a 19-year-old kid, but a young man in the eyes of the law who succumbed to peer pressure for whatever reason. And I'm not victim blaming. I'm saying I'm pretty sure that he may have, I don't know, we'll see, but I'm finding it hard to believe that initially they got him to they forced vodka and pills down his throat. I'm saying that may have happened later once he was already inebriated, but to initially have done it, I'm going to think that a 19-year-old man possibly, I'm going to consider and entertain the possibility that he took these things himself under peer pressure. And it's already made public that he does not have any learning disabilities and he's not autistic. So we'll see. Now, I don't know. But that's not to say that he's not a victim in this situation, because he clearly is. He's absolutely a victim because they spray painted him. They forced him to drink more alcohol. They forced him to take more pills, apparently, allegedly. So we don't know. But I have no idea. I've never heard of a case like this where I've never followed a case like this to where I know what their sentence was. I think it depends on the age. Again, it's going to depend on the age. And she's even acknowledging that they're kids, possibly kids with bright futures. But that comes into play. As I explained earlier, that absolutely comes into play. So to sit here and you know, just say we want somebody thrown in jail. Screw collecting. She even said that shit out loud. Screw collecting and building a case and then making an arrest. That's fucking crazy. I mean, only two types of people would ever say that. One, somebody who actually wants them to get away with whatever they did and get the case thrown out of court. Or two, somebody who just simply doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to the law. One of the two. There's only two types of people that would ever say the things and think the things that she's saying and have the same opinion about how the law works.
Like they are supposed to be doing. Because in our criminal justice system across this country, the law should be applied equally, no matter what color your skin is or how much money you have in your bank account.
Okay. What does that have
We
to
know
do
that the South
with
really
anything?
doesn't like going after well-to-do people. That's why it took the death of Paul and Maggie to finally bring Alec Murdaugh to his knees, because he was given a free pass on everything.
How old
up
is
to
this
that
video?
point until things started to unravel. Betty, please look into the case. Waycross in Waycross, Georgia. His name's Joseph
11
Strong.
hours
This
ago.
boy was beaten by a bunch of kids and left laying for 14 hours before being found. Joseph Strong. That's why I like having the two phones, because now I can look it all up while I'm standing out here. Joseph Strong.
I need a new phone.
Never heard of that case before.
I need a new computer. By the way, I got a file
Where was
cabinet.
that in? Waycross?
I gotta print out all this bullshit and put it in my file cabinet, even though I got fucking 10 computers.
Joseph Strong. Well, this might be another case.
I was just about to do it, Tatted Tech.
Yeah, but I can't find the case. Are you sure his name was Joseph Strong, or was that the because when I put Joseph Strong in here, it's coming up to Joseph Manning. So I'm trying to look into it, but I can't find Joseph Strong.
Betty, when you're Googling, you got to put the S, not the M. Okay? That's why it's coming up Manning. Okay, because you're typing in. Yeah, you got to actually you got to read. You got to read.
Okay, who is Joseph Strong, aka Joseph Manning from Georgia, and what is his story? Involved in a serious accident. Okay, but saved by various serious illness. Long time. Yeah, if you can send me that. Who sent that? Nan to all. Oh, that's a sweet name too. Can you go ahead and send me, if you've got a link or something to that case, can you send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com and I'll take a look at it? Maybe if it's on my way in or out of Georgia, maybe I'll stop by and do some work on it while I'm here. They were cops, right, that did that. I don't think they were cops. I think you're talking about the Ahmed Aubrey case. Let me just pull that up and I'll read you guys some information about that case so you know.
So professional.
There it is, Aubrey. So here's I'm going to go ahead and just read you what the story says. This is not all the information because I read several different stories. Thank you. I read several different stories about this, so there's a lot more information out there, but I'm going to read you the New York Times version of it. What we know about the shooting death of Ahmed Arbery. Mr. Arbery, a 25-year-old black man, was chased by white residents of South Georgia neighborhood. They were convicted of murder.
Dude, I was living in Atlanta when that case happened, dude. I wasn't even following true crime and I knew about that case. She fucking is just now hearing about this shit.
And federal hate crime.
Dude, it's not even close to comparable to this case.
The federal judge sentenced two men, and that doesn't tell you, this tells you after the fact. I don't want this. I want the actual case of what really happened, because that's not
Betty,
it.
you suck at this so bad.
Okay, let's see what this Fox one says, because that's after they've been arrested. I want you to hear about what happened leading to that arrest. They did not want to arrest these guys. Atlanta, this is from Atlanta, the Atlanta Fox 5, and it says, Thursdays marked 3 years since Ahmed Arbery's killing was being chased down and shot while jogging through a South Georgia community. On February 23rd, 2020, so we're well past the 1930s and 40s era. It's 2020 when this happened. At the age of 25, Arbery was out for what would be his final run through Glynn County subdivision.
Oh, no, never mind.
As he always did. Arbery ran out the door of his mother's house, down the long street toward Fancy Bluff Road, then turned right onto a 2-lane road lined with oak trees draped with Spanish moss. About a mile and a half into his route, Arbery would cross 4 lanes of Jekyll Island Causeway into the subdivision of Satilla Shores, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. 2 trials have been established. 2 trials. It says 2 trials have established there was no way Arbery have been known of a deadly trap laid for him by a father and a son, and a man pursuing him in his pickup truck recorded the whole thing. So it was a father, a son, and another person recording this entire event.
Dude.
That day, Gregory McMichael, his son Travis, and William Rowdy Bryan armed themselves with guns and used a pickup truck to chase down Arbery as he ran past their home on February 23rd, 2020. Bryan, a neighbor, joined the pursuit in his own truck and recorded cell phone video of Travis Michael shooting Arbery with a shotgun. The McMichaels told police they suspected Arbery was a burglar, but investigators determined that he was unarmed and had committed no crimes. No arrests were made for more than 2 months until the graphic cell phone video was leaked online. So they weren't arrested.
I wonder if she's aware that her Trumper buddies, a good number of them, I can guarantee it, actually advocated for those shooters at the time. I wonder if she's aware. I wonder if she's aware of that incident and how there were racist shitbags who were defending these guys who shot Ahmaud Arbery. I don't think she does.
Arresting anyone until somebody had the balls to leak that video. And then they had no choice. Kind of similar to what we're dealing with this trend.
Not even
Blair
close.
Camp case.
Not,
lots of similarities in this.
There's no similarities at all.
Leaked online, and Georgia state investigators took over the case from the local.
Wasn't Ahmaud, wasn't he a minor? Wasn't he a minor? I could be wrong. I don't remember. But I remember the case. I remember the shooting, and they said he was a burglar, and he wasn't a burglar. No, he wasn't a minor. Okay. I'm thinking of a different case then.
Local police. So the state actually stepped in and said, you guys are covering shit up. We're taking over this case. And they took over the case. Aubrey's death, I can't pronounce that, far beyond Brunswick as protests erupt across the country over the killing of unarmed black men such as George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Kentucky.
Dude. Betty, you're fired, bro. Like, there's no connection to these cases. What you just read is in no way anything similar to this case, except they both happened in Georgia. That's it. That's the only similarity. We're talking about a guy who was at a party, and the party got way too out of hand, and these kids turned out to do something horrible to this guy, and probably thought that they were just being playful in their own fucked up little minds. Because that's one thing I'm going to say. I'm not about to assume that a bunch of kids intended to put this guy into a coma. I think that they were careless. I think they were stupid. And I think that they thought that he was just going to be fucked up and then wake up like, oh my God, what happened to me? I had spray paint all over myself. I think that's all that took place. And until you show me reason to think otherwise, that's what I'm going to assume. Now, should that go unpunished? Absolutely not. But it takes time to build a case. That has nothing to do with people shooting an unarmed black man running down the street. There's nothing even comparable, even remotely comparable about those two cases. What the fuck are you talking about?
Across with flowers, and a letter sits at the entrance of Stilla Shores neighborhood where Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed May 7th, 2020 in Brunswick, Georgia. In February 2020, a federal jury, I think they mistake that. County is above, right? They play these politics, and clearly they have some problems right here in Glynn County when they allow murderers of an innocent black man to go free, and they were only forced when there was a video that surfaced about their incompetence or unwilling to arrest the white guys that gunned down an innocent black man. And this is all done in Glynn County. This is right here. This is a recent case of racism. So what is that telling me? Again, I don't know what the political leanings of these people, and I don't care if they believe in everything I do. I don't care. The bottom line is a child, somebody's brother, somebody's son.
I'll tell you what they don't believe in. Yo, check it. I'll tell you what they don't believe in is they don't believe in your idea of a work ethic, because you actually think that what you're doing is a job. See, what they're doing is actually executing an investigation that they were trained on how to do through years of college and the police academy. You wouldn't know anything about that.
Is fighting for his life.
I'm just
Thank
going to play
God
the
he
pause
has
game. I'm just going to play the pause game.
been taken off the ventilator, taken out of ICU, and now in rehab for recovery that's going to be very long for this man. And he's got a long road ahead of him at this time. I am here because I am tired of a two-tier system.
A two-tier system
In this country. The elites get to do stuff that they want to do with no accountability.
Tatted Tech, man. Thanks, homie. Two things Bullhorn can't afford: a wind filter and a Home Depot credit card. Yo, it's only the accidental pauses. I can't do it on purpose. You got to leave it. It's up to the pause gods, I guess. Thanks, Tatted Tech.
All they have to do is have the right political party to be putting their money toward, and they will be good to go here in Georgia. Wow. So am I sniffing corruption around here? Unfortunately.
So wait. So you just said you don't know what their political leanings are. And yet you just said that with the right political leanings, that they're going to get things in order there, right? But you're already criticizing them and accusing them of not doing their job because they're a bunch of racists, even though Trent's white, by the way. I don't understand.
I'm starting to smell something, and it doesn't smell good. And it's not because I'm sitting in front of Glynn County Police Department either. Something stinks to high heaven in here. And I tell you, you guys know that this is my last day here for this tour. I've got to be back into Florida on the 15th.
I love it.
If he's not arrested, by the time I help my best friend, I'm coming here and I'm renting a place for a month. And I'm going to be out here every day. And I'm going to let these officers hear my voice and hear the voice of other people. Because when we hear stuff like this is disheartening to me. We hire these people and vote some of these people. Well, police are appointed by their city council. So the city council, knock, knock, you better wake up before I start poking in your business too. And I'm telling you, this right here is not what Georgia is about. Man, we don't let the rich slide by because we're worried about our position here. We enforce the law as it is expected to be.
She's always at these Trump rallies, but she's always like spewing out fucking Bernie Sanders rhetoric. You know what I mean? She doesn't even fucking know it. She doesn't know that, like, she's she doesn't have any idea what she's talking about. She doesn't even know what she's saying. She's out here. She's going to these Trump rallies. She's spending the money that she grifts out of her viewers to go to Trump rallies, and yet she she has this Bernie Sanders sense of entitlement, which I find really, really funny. It's just hilarious to me.
To be enforced to everybody. If I would have committed that crime and I would already be behind bars, those kids should already be behind bars. Period. There should be no two-tier system here for the rich kids and the poor kids, right? There shouldn't be that. I don't care who their parents are. I don't care how long their parents have been here. They almost killed a kid. This is serious stuff. And I just feel like this is a laxy-daisy investigation.
This is serious stuff.
And I want to see proof that they're doing what they're saying they're doing.
Why?
And I want to see somebody be held accountable for this boy. And don't tell me there's no proof of anything.
Yeah, you're just not going to see it because they don't owe that to you until they get an indictment. And that's it. Like, they don't owe that to you until they're in a court of law presenting it, and you have the right to sit there and view the court hearing. But prior to that, no, you don't get to know anything. Mostly because you're a fucking idiot.
You've got a bunch of teenagers and they like to talk, especially ones that think that they're in trouble. They're going to tell you exactly what happened.
Like, they know that. That's what they're doing right now. See, Betty thinks that they're not out there talking to witnesses, going through cell phone data. She still calling herself a true crime creator, still has no, and she's been streaming the Gannon Stalk, the Letitia Stalk murder, Stalk murder trial. And yet she still doesn't fucking understand what's going on. Like, all day, every day, I've been sitting here streaming this trial and listening to people who work for the El Paso Sheriff's Department who actually analyze phone data, people who collect it, who are different than those who analyze it, people who who are contracted by the police department and don't even work for the police department to analyze some of this stuff and gather and collect some of this evidence. This shit takes time. It takes a long time, as a matter of fact. Imagine all of the cell phone data that they are collecting in this case. It's a party. It's a party. And there's a bunch of kids that participated in this assault. There's a lot of cell phone data to go through. That alone is going to take a shit ton of time. Interviewing all of the kids at the party, identifying all of the kids at the party alone, then interviewing them is going to take separately a shit ton of time to just even identify everybody. To get one to talk and say, you got to talk to this person. You got to talk to this person. You got to talk to this person. How many dead ends? Oh, well, this person wasn't even at the party. That could be an all-day thing, trying to locate one person. It could be an all-day thing, a 2-day thing, a week thing. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But it takes time to collect evidence and build a case. And you're not going to make an arrest so that it could get thrown out of court for lack of investigations.
You already know. I'm not even going to act like they're stupid. Police already know who was at that house. They already have affidavits of what happened from all those kids. They already have talked to whatever attorneys that they're going to produce for those kids. They've already talked to the state attorney. Where's the stinking arrest? Where is it?
None of your fucking business.
Where is it?
Where is it? She's having a dramatic moment.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Those beautiful ladies in these pink, that was Aubrey's family that stood up for Trent. That was his family that came out and put those rallies together on St. Simon's Island. They are tired of this. They lived it themselves in this county. They lived it themselves in this county.
You said it yourself. It was a rally. It was not a protest. It was simply a rally. It was a community showing that they're coming together on something. That's all. It was as peaceful gets. It was just a rally. And it was beautiful that they did that. But it doesn't call for bullshit Betty.
County. And they had to rise up again for a boy that they don't even know. And God bless those beautiful souls that chose to rise up. I would have loved to have been here. I would have loved to have been here, but we will be here. And we are coming back, and we are going to, I've got many record requests out already here. They're trying to charge me an arm and a leg, $25.80 per hour. I've ordered documents all over this country and have never once paid $25.80 per hour for them to get documents for me. The most I've ever paid per hour, I think, was $15.80. So even their policies here to get public records, they don't want to give you, they want to make it as difficult and as expensive as possible to find out what's going on here at this police department. But they don't realize I will pay that money. I will pay that money, and I will pay whatever money I need to prove my point with this law enforcement. That hasn't even started. I haven't even started going to the city and pulling record requests. I haven't started pulling phone record requests. I haven't pulled any of that stuff yet. That's coming. That's coming.
Oh my God.
We're going to start putting pressure on the city council. We're going to start putting pressure on this police department. This is only day one. I did my fact finding. This was my fact finding mission. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to get a good handle on this case. I was praying to God that what I was going to be uncovering wasn't what I was going to be uncovering, but we have uncovered it. Nonetheless, we know every single person that was in that house, and now we know where they live and the businesses their family owns. They are well-to-do, and I want justice to be served for Trenton.
See, that's what she's mad about.
So I'm going to try.
She's not mad about Trenton. She doesn't give a shit about that guy. What she gives a shit about, she's mad about somebody else having more than she does. Betty's a fucking socialist, bro. She's a total fucking socialist. And it's really funny because she's a Trump supporter. You know what I mean? But she's simply pissed off at somebody else's success. I mean, I'm telling you, I know this based on her behavior simply because her sense of entitlement. She feels entitled. Why do they have more than I do? She looks at her chat that same way. Why do you have more than I do? You should be giving to me. I'm the one out here doing all this work. She feels entitled to what's yours that she has not earned. And she knows this is a facade. She's just convinced herself to legitimize it in her mind. Somehow she's legitimized it in her mind, but she still knows that it's a fucking facade. Otherwise, she wouldn't fucking lie about it. Because she lies about it all the time. She lies to her audience all the time. So she knows that she's completely full of shit, which is really funny. But she acts completely and totally entitled to what's not hers and what's not rightfully hers. That is the opposite of what she claims to believe in, politically speaking.
I'm going to try to open this up if I can. Let me see how's everybody doing in here. You guys doing okay so far? Wow, it didn't go all the way down to the bottom of these things. Justice for Trenton. By the way, oh, Matt Shatter, I love seeing you in here. By the way, that was for you above, B. Betty. I'm sure that B. Betty saw it. AG, it's nice to see you, by the way. AG, thank you so much. I did the thing. Is it Daisha? Daisha here right now, and more families that people in jail. They're only investigating one of 3 events. There should be more people in jail right now. There should be more people that are under the microscope right now, and more families that should be under the microscope right now, because there's 3 events here. They're only investigating one, and it's the one that almost lost his life.
See, why families? Okay? Why families? I think that's really funny that she just assumes that these families are accountable, because she's already come to the conclusion in her mind that law enforcement is in cahoots and in the pockets of the parents because they're well-to-do, as she put it. So already she's just jumping to the conclusion that all of these people are guilty and there's all this corruption, and she has no idea of anything other than she doxed the families. She doxed these kids and found out that their families are successful business owners. And she's mad about it because she hasn't done anything to prove these crazy allegations she's making.
They're not investigating the assault that left him bloody and a huge laceration over his eye that needed stitches. They're not talking or investigating the first incident where he was also tortured and came back. And his father says every time he goes over to the Struthers house, the party house in St. Simon's Island, every time he goes over there, he comes back and he's never the same again. He's beat.
Okay. Again, not victim blaming, but why does somebody who's 19 years old, after the first 2 times, know better than to go back over there? Something else is going on. That requires investigating. Okay? There's obviously something that requires investigating. You can't just, once you see that, and there's some sort of pattern, you don't just, hey, I'm putting you in handcuffs, I'm throwing you in jail, and then I'm going to find out the truth. That's not how justice works. So, what's going on is the question. If I'm law enforcement, then I'm going, this isn't the first time that's happened. What's going on? What's happening? And only one of the questions that I'm going to ask is, why does he keep going back over there? But that's an important question. It's an important question.
Beaten up, he's tortured, he's humiliated, he's treated differently than they are treated. And this is the kind of people that these elitists are raising around here. It's getting a really bad taste in my mouth. And believe me, I came from a silver spoon myself. But we didn't have 2-tier justice systems where I came from. So when I got in trouble, I went to jail. That's how
that usually happens when the people you beat up are your parents.
rolls. And I have to go and fight. And you know what? Sometimes they were right, but sometimes they were right, but they were mostly wrong in my arrest. And they had to explain that to a judge. But still, do you think that for me, they said, oh, well, you know, Betty, let me sit back. Let me talk to the state attorney before we put these handcuffs on you. Why don't you go home for the next couple of weeks and we'll let you know if we need you to come on down to the jail and spend a night or 2 here so we can charge you. But don't worry, Betty, just go on home, you know, kick up your feet, cook yourself a dinner, pop a beer.
Isn't that what happened every 42 of those times that you got arrested? Isn't that exactly what happened? Didn't you end up going home and not having to serve any time? I mean, we saw the charges. I mean, I bet the justice system was working great when you figured out that you weren't going to jail for the many times that you deserved to go to jail. I bet it was working great then, but now it's a problem. Now it's a problem, right? Somebody with your record, after the 41st time, you didn't get locked up. Okay.
You know, pop a beer, enjoy yourself. We'll come around to you here in a little bit. Do you think they did that to Bullhorn Betty? Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, they did.
And I didn't even violate
exactly
the law in many of those arrests, which really sucks, right? But do you think that they worried about having evidence when they arrested me? Because clearly they didn't even have the evidence to justify the arrest. That's why it was thrown out of court.
Okay.
But that's okay, right? That's okay.
Let's just say that's true, Betty. Let's just say that's true. They didn't have the evidence and it got thrown out of court. So you understand that that's how it works, right? But yet you're using that example as a comparison as to justify what you're doing the fuck out there, which is fucking crazy. What are you talking about? So let's just say that's true, okay? They threw the evidence, or they threw the shit out of court because there wasn't enough evidence to convict you. So are you saying to all of us that what you want are for these kids to get arrested and for it to get thrown out of court so they can walk? You got to pick one, Betty. Like I didn't even do this. She did this. She just painted herself into a corner. I'm not even talking to her. She streamed this live. Like, you got to be clear to your viewers what you want here. What the fuck you're doing out there. Because you're not making any sense at all. You're sitting here going, well, do you think that they waited to get enough evidence? I mean, that's the thing is they probably just didn't think it was worth it. Dude, if they caught you with cocaine, you know what I mean? If you were drunk in public, if you were drinking and driving, dude, they probably could have gotten a conviction. They probably just didn't fucking feel like convicting you. Like, the dumb shit that I've been arrested for always gets thrown out because it's dumb shit. It's not because I got off on a technicality. It's because the judge is just like, what the fuck are you even doing here? It's happened twice. One time I didn't actually get arrested. Like, I got technically it was an arrest because I sold alcohol. I sold beer to a 20-year-old. And it was literally my second day working as a clerk at a convenience store. I was like 24. And the ATF sent somebody in and they charged me. They were like, they came in, they were like, hey, everybody, store's closed, flashed a badge, store's closed. And then they didn't even handcuff me. I didn't even go to jail. I had to sign a form that was called a promise to appear. And then I went to court when they told me to go to court, when the paper told me to go to court. And when I went to court, the judge was like, yeah, you've been IDing people since, right? Yeah, cool. Fine. That was it. Nothing on my record. Like, if they just don't think that it's even, you know what I mean? Like, the state isn't going to move forward with shit like that. The state's going to be like, whatever. Depending on how much crime is in that state or in that county, they're just going to be like, shit like that. They're going to be like, dude, just, you've got no record. You know what I mean? Just get out of here. Don't do it again. That was it. And I imagine in Orlando, Florida, that was probably the case. Because she was probably going to plead not guilty. And then they were just like, fuck it. Fuck it. You know? Like, they got, it's Northern Florida. They got crack dealers and hookers up the wazoo coming in and out of that courthouse. A domestic thing, something that sounds like a domestic thing, unless the judge gets a hard on for her and is like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of looking at you. You need to go to jail. You need some time in jail. But you can't sit here and sit here and go, oh, well, you know, they didn't have enough evidence and then they fucking cuffed me and then took me to jail and then it got thrown out of court because they didn't have enough evidence. And then sit here and bitch and moan how they're not cuffing somebody and throwing them in jail while they investigate a case. It's unbelievable.
Hey, they still arrested me. They didn't take 3 weeks to get those cuffs on me, and they let me deal with it with the court system, not having them tried by the police officers. See, this is not the courtroom here, right? This is not the courtroom. How the whole law enforcement with the judicial process works is they're only required to enforce the law. Okay? So that means when somebody violates the law, they go and put cuffs on them, fingerprint them, come down here, and they let the judicial body, the court systems, deal with the prosecution of it. What they're doing is they're prosecuting the case
Judicial, guys.
inside their police station and saying, should we make an arrest? Should we not make an arrest? Is this going to be a slam dunk case or not? Well, that's not how this works. That's not the police department's job to find out if the state attorney is going to be successful or not. What their job.
Okay. It's not even the state attorney, by the way. It's the district attorney. Okay. Little Miss Lawyer, first of all. Second of all, yes, it is the district attorney's job to let law enforcement know whether or not they have enough evidence to convict. The district attorney will tell law enforcement, will tell the lead investigators or the captain or whoever the fuck, and go, hey, listen, that's not enough. I need more. You can't expect me to go into a courtroom with this. It's not enough. I need more. If you've ever seen an episode of any of the Law and Orders, this happens. The assistant DA is in the opening credits because they're in every episode. Okay. And this happens in almost every single episode. Okay. So what happens is Stabler and Benson will be out there and they'll say, well, we got a witness. And then they'll say, well, what do we know about this witness? The assistant DA will say. And then they'll say, well, it doesn't matter. We got a witness. It's not going to be enough. I need more. Did she shower before she took the rape kit? Shit, that's not going to be enough. I need more. I need a confession. Get me a confession, and then I'll take it to the grand jury. That's how it works. Every episode of Law and Order. That's how it works. So it's not the police that decide how much evidence is enough. The DA decides how much evidence is enough. Simple. And if the DA says, I don't have enough to convict, get me more, that's what's going on right now. And I promise you that's what's going on right now. Guaranteed.
Job is to investigate. There's definitely a crime here. A kid almost lost his life. Somebody should be held accountable for that. We shouldn't be sitting here breaking bread with these kids while we decide, well, what are we going to do with them?
That's not what's happening. That's for the judge to decide what he's going to do with them. What's happening right now is law enforcement, and make no mistake, Betty, this is how it works. Law enforcement, cops, investigators, what they are basically gophers for the DA. Go get me this. This is what I need. Find out who is responsible. Gather enough evidence. Bring me that evidence. I'll tell you if it's enough to convict. And then, if I tell you it's enough to convict, go arrest them. That's it. That's how it works. Unbelievable that she doesn't know. Breaking bread. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck was that? What does she mean by breaking bread? It's the Last Supper. And the chief of police is sitting there going, this is my body. All the kids are like, oh. And the dads are like, got fancy glasses of wine. Brandy afterwards, chief.
I can tell you how the conversations are going. And if anybody from this place is watching me out here, they know this is exactly how it's going. Well, you know, they come from these really good families. I'd really hate to ruin their future, you know, over something so silly because, you know, boys will be boys, of course, you know. We would hate that be their, you know, excuse for this situation, right? But that's kind of where we're getting at with this entire situation here, is that it just seems like they don't think this is a crime, and a boy almost lost his life. This is without a crime. This is what law enforcement was for. This is why we spend so much money in each of our counties across this beautiful United States for our law enforcement. So it works for us when we pick up the phone and call. This is not the judge or the jury. You don't prosecute the cases here. So whatever you're doing, needs to come with a bunch of handcuffs. So we need to have. I've counted about 7 people at that house. Now, granted, the only people I saw.
I gotta say, this is the best display so far that I've ever seen of Betty explaining how the law works. So far, this takes the cake. This is the best. I can't even interrupt it that much. This is fucking amazing.
All were the guys, right? The 4 guys, not the 3 girls in that photo. So while the girls were probably drinking and laughing and having a good time, I don't think they were the ones that actually force-fed a tube down Trenton's float. I believe it was one or all of those 4 boys that were so happy to take that picture behind him when he was unconscious and taped to a chair. This is a man that couldn't move. Let's talk about what they did to him.
Bro, remember when she was discussing the University of Idaho murders and she was in Idaho complaining about the cold the whole fucking time? And then that video of the bar got released, and not even the video, the still from the surveillance footage of the bar got released. And she ascertained all this shit from it because somebody's back was turned here and another person's back was turned here. And then I destroyed that shit and was like, this looks like this person is just simply having a conversation with that person. So fucking what? She's going, this person's clearly mad at that person and blah, blah, blah. All that shit was debunked. All of it. Everything that she was saying about that photo was wrong because she was accusing innocent people of being involved in something. And that got totally debunked and disproven. And so here she is creating a whole nother scenario that doesn't exist without any footage, without a still from surveillance footage. She's sitting here just explaining away the entire scenario without knowing jack shit about it because she saw a picture.
They held him captive, right? If you really want to break down the Georgia law, they held him captive.
And I should be specific.
So therefore kidnapping.
I should be specific. There was a picture, but the picture was not a still from surveillance footage. It was not candid. It was people posing with the guy. So they meant to take the picture, which is a completely indifferent. It's completely and totally different scenario. She meant that, or they meant to take that picture. They posed for the picture. So there's nothing that you can ascertain from that photograph other than everyone involved needs to be talked to. Everyone in that photograph needs to be spoken to and interviewed. Not just because the girls are there and they're girls. Everyone needs to be spoken to.
You could really do this. So we have proof of them holding him against his will because they taped him to a chair. If that doesn't scream, if that doesn't meet the requirements for, you know, keeping somebody against their will, I don't know what does. He was taped to a chair, first and foremost. And if the parents were home when he was taped to the chair, they're complicit in this. And I don't care about their net worth or how long their generations have been in this county.
I agree with that. If the parents were there, then they're accountable to some degree for sure.
I could care less. It's not my problem. It's not law enforcement's problem either. Law enforcement's problem is not looking at the background of these people. It's when they see a crime committed, they make an arrest. That's what law enforcement's job is to do.
No, it's not. It's to collect
I can
evidence.
guarantee if the situation, the shoe was on the other foot, and I was the one that tied this boy to the chair, and I was the one that shoved a tube down his throat,
Bro,
I guarantee we wouldn't be.
The patrol guy who happens to be there with handcuffs because the detective may not have a pair of handcuffs on him, that's his job. His whole job is to put the guy in handcuffs. Crime was committed, put the guy in handcuffs. That's his job. That's the only guy with that job. And he has no authority over the situation at all. The person who does is the lead detective in the case, and he answers to the district attorney or the district attorney's office. Period. That's it. So law enforcement's job overall is to investigate, collect evidence, and then make an arrest based on the evidence that they collect. That's it.
We wouldn't be 3 weeks later still talking to the state attorney about charges. Now, if you want me to, state attorney, and I offered this in Chatham County as well, if you really want me to, I'm happy to look up the laws. I'm happy to take the evidence that I've uncovered here, and I'm happy to show you what laws you can arrest these kids on. If you
So I just pictured her showing up to the state attorney's office and then like them going, "Hey, wrong building. You got to go down there." Lady, like she goes up there, yells and screams, "We want justice. Hey, lady, you got 2 blocks, make a left. Wrong building." Okay.
if you really need some help, because it sounds like you're having problems here and unable to connect the dots. So what gives? And this is my other theory. I also believe that when they do try to charge these kids, they're not going to charge them with what they should be charged with. They're going to charge them with lower and lesser crimes so that they don't have to, again, be held accountable for their disgusting actions. And again, this wasn't their first time. 11 calls at that house in 8 months. 11 calls. A girl that has been shot with an Orbeez gun, a gel-filled gun, and trust me, those hurt. I have been shot with a paintball gun, and I'm telling you, and it was from a cop that lived in my my apartment. I was probably, I want to say 19, maybe barely 20. It was before I even went to bars or anything like that. And we were really good friends with this sheriff. He was boot. He was new to the Manatee County force, and we were at the apartments. And so we screwed with him, and he screwed with us. And he took that, and it had the NOS canister on it. I don't know if anybody knows what NOS is. Okay, it makes it go faster, harder, and whatever. So it had the canister on it that shot this thing, and he pointed it at me at about 5 or 6 feet away from me and shot me in my butt cheek. I will tell you that my butt cheek and down my leg was purple, and we're talking about a huge piece bigger than my face from that little paintball gun. It was very, very painful, and it took me weeks to recover from it. Now, he did apologize to me. It was all in fun. It's not like I called law or thought he was, we were horse playing. So, in all fairness, a lot of it, if I got hurt, that was my fault, right? Because if I didn't engage, I wouldn't have been in the position to get hurt. He didn't tie me down to a chair. He didn't chase me down a road to shoot me. We were all out there horse playing. So there's a difference. This boy was taped to a chair. And a funnel forced down his...
That cop was like, "Shut the fuck up, Karen." Karen, do you ever shut the fuck up? Oh my God.
His throat, and then they're just throwing vodka. He could have aspirated and died right there. They are lucky he is alive. What they did was so highly dangerous. And it's not for police to sit here and argue the case in behind these closed doors. They are to apply the law and to apply the law equally to everyone. There's not a rule book for the people that have wealth and are generationals here, and another one for everyone else. There's only one constitution here in the state of Georgia, just one. And you know what? It's for all the people here, not just the upper, not just the lowers, not just the middles. It's for everyone. So it is applied equally. When you fail to apply your laws equally, you know what you're violating? You're violating the 14th Amendment. You have to apply the law equally. So you guys are having constitutional issues here as well.
That's the weakest shit I've ever heard in my life. That is the weakest shit I've ever heard in my life. That these kids are skating because they're privileged. I mean, it's too high profile. That's not happening. I'm telling you that right now. It's not happening. The community is they've already rallied. They've already made themselves known. Okay, going into this case, just know we're watching. These kids need to be held accountable no matter what their privilege. That's already happened. And her sticking her nose in it from an outsider's perspective, that's wrong, man. That's fucking Brianna 25, thank you so much. She really is out there trying her best to put these kids, actual kids, in danger. Her BS theories and vitriol are going to get these kids killed. I mean, that's a stretch, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. And she is putting those kids at risk. It's I just, dude, like, it's a community issue. Okay. When you're dealing with kids, it's up to the community to come together and the adults in that community to handle the situation. Okay. Like, some of these parents, they know each other. Probably the victim's family knows some of the parents. That's for them to work out and figure out and how and law enforcement to handle it however they see fit. That's it. Now, if the victim comes forward and says justice was not served and this is why, and he has an attorney or something that explains why, that's a different story. But we're not even close to being there yet. It's not even remotely close. It's not even within sight. It's only 3 weeks in, and who knows how many kids were at that party and they have to talk to get a common story, to come up with a sound theory that's going to get enough evidence that is going to get a conviction or multiple convictions. Just imagine how much time that's going to take.
So we know that they're not going to arrest him. So what we're going to do? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. That's so sweet. God bless you. God bless you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be going back. I'm going to cover another case. You guys know I'll be back into Florida by Saturday, most likely Friday night, but by Saturday, if not Friday night, it'll be Saturday that I'll be there. And then coming Monday of next week, we're coming right back here. We're coming right back here where I can spend some time and really get to the heart of this. I'm going to go down into Simon's Island, and I'm going to sit and relax with the locals, and I'm going to dig into this, and I'm going to dig in deep. And I'm telling law enforcement here, do the right thing for this community. Do the right thing for this victim. Quit sitting on your hands and playing politics with these people. It's not a good look for this community on the heels of the Aubrey case. I will tell you that. This is not looking good. This is going to be staining your county more so than Aubrey, because now you've got my attention. And when you get my attention, you get a lot of other creators' attention on these types of cases. And when corruption...
I'll bet you she does not have any proof that would even indicate that there's something political influencing this investigation. I guarantee it.
Corruption is starting to stink to high heaven in the community. People are going to know, people are going to talk. And then we start getting things like citizen involvement, right? We start getting citizens involved and showing them and getting them equipped to take on their communities and counties, which I was successful with a whole group of wonderful people in Manatee County to totally recreate our Board of County Commissioners.
Totally made it
And you
up.
know what it started with? It started with one voice, then that voice became two voices, then that voice became three voices. Next thing you know, we're having rallies with hundreds and 200s and 300 people attending. Now we've got people in our
Kitten
school,
Claus,
our
thank
school
you
board
so
meetings.
much. If Gary Busey was hit with a paintball, I can't take her seriously. Totally, dude. Like, I'd feel guilty laughing at Gary Busey getting hit with a paintball, like, to some degree. Like, would I play it more than once? Probably, but I'd still kind of be like, Gary Busey. You know what I mean? Like, Gary Busey's the way he is. You guys know he's the way he is because he was in like a really bad accident. And ever since that bad accident, he supposedly had this awakening spiritually. And so like that really like just dissolved a bunch of his like limits as far as like boundaries go, as far as the things that he says, because he had some sort of weird like spiritual awakening take place because it was such he experienced such a near-death scare. So when people make fun of Gary Busey and don't know that, I'm like, hey, chill out. You know what I mean? Because Gary Busey's all right. He's harmless. He's absolutely harmless. So yeah, it's actually not even fair to compare her to Gary Busey, but she fucking looks like him.
We got people in our city council meetings. We got people in our Board of County Commissioner meetings, and we have really reined this kind of garbage in our county. So it is doable. It is doable. The community can do this. You can stand up. You can say you've had enough. You can look at your politicians, realize which ones are good and which ones are here for the money, the prestige, and the power. And you get the cocky ones out of office. You get the ones that think their shit don't stink out of office, because they're the beginning of your first problem right there. Okay, these people are not above this community. These people work for you guys. Okay, this is not opposite. We don't work for the police. We don't work for our government. Our government works for us. We pay their salary.
Okay, hold on.
Every time you got to go.
There's a difference between state and federal government. Okay, it's actually what makes this country fucking awesome. Okay, is states, even counties, have the right to govern themselves until they need the state to step in. There are certain things that are county issue. There are certain things that are state issue. There are certain things that are a federal issue. I love this country because this case right here is an example of it simply being a state issue, if it's even gone out of the county. But here's the thing. You're sitting here saying they work for us. Who's us, Betty? Because you don't live in that county. You don't even live in that state. So you're not paying anything to them. They're not federally funded. That's a state-funded investigative unit. That's everything about that is governed within the state. Okay, so you're the taxes that I doubt you pay from YouTube. The taxes I doubt you pay, those go to federal tax, and if your state collects state taxes, Florida, then your taxes go to Florida. I mean, that's it. That you don't, but I don't think you pay taxes. I'm calling bullshit. I don't think you pay taxes, but yeah, none of the money that you don't pay goes to that police entity. It doesn't. It just doesn't.
Go pay tax at your gas pump. Where do you think that's going? That's going to somebody's salary that works in the government. When you see your property taxes, where does that money go? That goes to paying for somebody's salary in your government. You are the boss. You are the boss, and you can have crap representing you, or you can have good people representing you. And when you have corruption like this, where they don't even want to prosecute a white men that have brutalized a black man in this
Killing
era,
me right now.
and it takes a leaked video of what happened to finally get the state to take over, that is an embarrassment on a community. That is an embarrassment to the hierarchy of this county. And that should be a very, very, very big embarrassment for this police department. Now, I have heard, don't know if it's true, because again, I haven't confirmed it, nor have I looked into it, that the person that was behind this, the person in charge at the time of Aubrey's case, is no longer here. Now, again, I don't know that. That is one person. And this is what's bad about top brass and the hierarchy of law enforcement around the country. Is top brass can really, when you have a boot coming in, they're new. So you can create that boot any way you want. You can create him to follow the rules and regulations as they are written and do their job well. And you can also do just the opposite, where you have a corrupt person or somebody in the system that works here telling him, no, don't do this, pander to this person, don't pander to this person needs to go to jail, let this person go. And you can corrupt that police officer when he's a boot, depending on who you put him with.
Canadian? A boot?
Depending on who is his training officer out there on the road.
Is he a Mountie?
It makes a difference in that officer. So and why I'm telling you this is just because the top brass that may have been removed, again, that's allegedly, I haven't confirmed it or corroborated it, but there's still all the people under him that were getting trained improperly that now have all those bad habits and are now still here when new boots come in, creating those bad habits on them as well. And those are the things that do.
Thank you, Jackie Garnett. This coming from someone who said disability was welfare. She knows nothing. Yes, no, she has no fucking idea what she's talking about.
Happen inside this. I've seen it with my own eyes. These are from that's why I have to say allegedly and supposedly, because I didn't look into this. I've been looking into the families and the parents and the money, and you know what we always say, follow the money, right? Follow the money. And that's what I'm doing. Do I think that these officers got a payday to try to put this away? That's not what I'm talking about. I don't see that. There's no evidence of that. There's nothing that type of level of corruption.
So what corruption are you talking about? You think that the police are just like, I got you, homie, and that's it? Just hey, yeah, are we still going golfing? Tea time's at 7:00. Don't put my kid in prison. Don't worry. I got you. Like, that's not what's happening, dude. Like, why would rich people have that kind of power? Like, why are you implying that a rich person has influence over someone in an authoritarian position? Why do you think that somebody with money has influence over them if they're not paying them? Just because the cops like the expensive pants they wear? Is that why? Not because they could pay them off, but because hey, I really like your Saab, man. Yeah, I was thinking of getting a Saab, but had to go with the old Caprice Classic. Sorry, I'm not as cool as you, but because I like your Saab and I like the way you look behind the wheel, my man, your kid's gonna skate. Don't you worry. That's how it works at Glynn County. Okay.
Corruption going on here. It's more name. It's more support. Political. It's not a cash payoff to hush hush. It's not something like that. Now, we've seen that before too, which is a little crazy, right? Because law enforcement, that's a big no-no. But that's not what I'm finding here. I want to make sure.
Of course, Jess Larry has a fucking sob. Jess Larry, you want to tell everybody what you do?
Sure that we're very clear on what we're talking about here. We're not talking about any officer here getting a payday. I have not found any evidence of undisclosed meetings, handoffs of cash or anything crazy or elaborate like that. That's not the type of corruption I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is in these communities, you have people that have money and you have politicians that need to be reelected. So they go to certain people to get those monies and those funds, and typically people that have multiple businesses.
But it's not money. There's no money exchange. What are you talking about? Because what you're talking about is bribery. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about bribery. Because once somebody says to a elected official, hey, no more campaign contributions unless you get my kid off from this crime. What do you think that's legal? I mean, that's bribery. It's bribery. What the fuck are you talking about?
Businesses, and even some real big political people that aren't in politics, but like
no idea what you're talking
fund
about.
them. They actually set up 20 or 30 different companies that make no money, but just have the same address, and they can write a $2,000 campaign check from each and every one of those accounts. So you can have one person that can write a campaign check to, as long as it's less than $2,000, they can write it out of every single one of their business accounts. So one person could technically, depending on how many businesses he owns, donate $100,000 to one person's campaign. And then on the flip side, do the same thing for another politician that they like. These are the kinds of campaign things that I'm not seeing that they have multiple businesses. I'm seeing there's a limited amount of businesses each of them own. But I did want to give the clarification on what I'm talking about. This appears to be more name recognition type of corruption than.
It's like she's realizing as this stream goes on how much more likely she is of getting fucking concrete boots and throw it over an overpass into the fucking bay into a river.
And like payoff type of corruption. So they know that these are prestigious families. They don't want to rock the boat. They're good, wholesome families in their community. They're just raising, terrible young adults. And hopefully that they get this under wraps sooner than later. But for right now, we're here. We're just going to sit out here for a little bit. We're not going to do a whole lot. And then we're going to go carry on with our day. And we'll be back. I'll be back later tonight for my final live here in Georgia. And then you guys won't be seeing me again until I'm in Marion County, Florida. We'll be back in Georgia across state lines. Hopefully, if everything works out on Friday, to do the Leilani trial. Not sure if I will be here for it, but I am. It is on my radar. And if
why wouldn't she go to that? I mean, this is what's really funny right there. Let's think about that for a second. She was so involved with that case. And now that she is going to trial, Leilani Simon, who she was yelling through a bullhorn to get her arrested, demanding her arrest, right? Yelling through a bullhorn. She's in fucking Georgia right now. Why wouldn't she go to that trial? Why wouldn't she do that? A, because she can't stream from it. So she can't see any reason to make money off of it. But why not stand in front of the courthouse and rally in front of the courthouse? Right? I mean, and I'll tell you why. Betty's scared to go back to Savannah because she made an ass of herself, because she yelled and screamed and accused law enforcement of not doing anything to get justice for Quentin. Period. Betty's afraid to go to Savannah. That's it.
Everything is wrapped up in Marion County because Marion County don't play. Me and law enforcement in Marion County are like BFFs, right? They do their job. They apply the law equally, and they get scumbags off the road. They don't sit there and call their mommy, oh, I'm sorry, the state prosecutor, to ask him, Mother, can I make arrest now? That's not how our judicial system should ever work. Not in a crime like this. There's overwhelming evidence that a crime was committed, and they're still dragging their ass on it, and we want to know why. And hopefully, the assistant lieutenant can explain that to us. We realize he's in a big pool, but he looks like a decent guy. But there's some kind of pressure. There's pressure on him. There's pressure on him. There's pressure from the community to do the right thing. You notice I said that, do the right thing, right? But there's also pressure on him to look the other way. And that pressure is coming from higher ups. And it's because of the ties that these families have in this community. And I have a problem with that. So, all we can do is do record requests and expose what we find. That's all we can do. We can't make them change. We can't make them do a better job. We can't make them do their job. All we can do is expose what's going on behind the scenes. And maybe with enough community outcry, maybe, just maybe, we can get, Trent's assailants behind bars.
She forgot his name.
At the end of the day, guys, I just want to tell you, God bless. Thank you for everything. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to keep this running live or not, but I've got other things that I need to be getting done today. So I'm not sure if I really want to continue live. I've made my point. They know I'm here, and we will be back next week. And when I come back next week, we're past the fact-finding mission. At that point, it's going to be more of an action type of mission. It's going to be more pressure being applied. And I don't want to do it. It's not something I love doing. It's not something I'm comfortable doing, but I just want justice for this boy. And when I start seeing these families and thinking that they're allowed to sleep in their bed while this man is struggling in rehab facility and still nobody is arrested, and this man has such a long road to recovery, and it just seems like law enforcement really doesn't care about him. They care more about the wealthy kids.
Is there a time limit? Like, you got to make an arrest before he's recovered? Is that what you're implying here? He's on the road to recovery? Time is running out. What do you mean? The fuck are you talking about?
That did this to him than they do about him. That's just what I'm feeling out here. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, and I love being proven wrong with this respect. I love somebody proving me wrong when it comes to stuff like this. So hopefully they'll prove me wrong. But until next time, guys,
you're always proven wrong.
Be safe and kind to one another. We are definitely advocating for Trent Lehrkamp, and we are demanding justice right along with many of the voices here in the community that are demanding justice and somebody be brought to jail. This has gone on long enough. There's enough evidence. We're not stupid, and don't play us for stupid, because that's when I start getting really upset.
But
all right, guys, peace out and God bless.
But you are stupid. That's the hitch with that little statement. Like, you're really stupid. Like, super stupid. Like the kind of stupid that is mind-boggling. It's confusing how stupid she is. She just sat up there and contradicted herself the entire time. She gave absolutely no basis for her accusations against every political figure in that county, every law enforcement agent in that county, and the parents of these kids who may or may not have been involved in this case, who may or may not have been involved in this crime. She just got a bunch of names of kids. She doesn't know who's involved and who isn't. Because there's a picture of people posing. How did you know it wasn't one guy who actually did everything, right? And then a bunch of people just posed in the picture. What if they can only prove that somebody posed in the picture and that's it? In a court of law, what's the charge for posing in a picture with a guy who is duct taped and spray painted and force-fed alcohol and pills, benzos. I mean, what's the punishment for a minor who posed for a picture? So, and that's the thing is, unless there's, I mean, and even still, even if there's enough proof to place one of these kids under arrest, you know, even if there's proof, I mean, that's not something that I would want to get involved in. I don't know anything about the law and what's an appropriate punishment to a minor who engaged in certain behavior. I don't know what the charges are going to be. I mean, who do you charge with that crime based on a photograph? You know, I mean, supposedly there's some video too, but I mean, who was involved and who wasn't? You have to investigate this thoroughly, because I mean, there's what's on video, there's what's in that picture, and then there's what happened outside of when that video and photograph were taken. And so law enforcement has to figure out what that is, not just to get one or two people held accountable, but to hold everyone accountable who was involved. And that takes a probing investigation and of multiple people. So that's going to take time. It's going to take a hell of a lot longer than 3 weeks, I would imagine. So it's asinine for her to even be out there running her mouth, wearing her stupid pink, crossing guard shit that she's got going on there. I mean, and she's like, I got a bunch of other stuff to do, you know, like check back into my hotel room and stuff a bunch of fucking McDonald's in my face, and then get the shits from the fucking rotten beef I ate the other day, and then wake up with chocolate duff in my bed. I'm gonna wrap this up, guys, because I am lit up on coffee, and I'm gonna have to get some sleep because I got another long day streaming tomorrow. I'm gonna be covering the Gannon Stauch murder trial. Letitia Stauch, his stepmother, who's on trial for that, and the lead investigator is actually taking the stand tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some some footage of her actual police interviews of when she's being interrogated and questioned. So if that's something that interests you, join me at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and we'll talk about it. We'll watch it together and we'll talk about it. Guys, I am going to call it. I love you guys very, very much. Thank you guys for everything. Thanks for all your support and all that great stuff, and for even liking, even though I don't know why I have as many likes as I do. Kind of crazy. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but anyway. But yeah, hit the like anyway if you like the video. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike. I love you guys a lot. I'm gonna wrap this up, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.